This is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 61 of Jedi Nights, the official Star Wars podcast of JoyClicks. I'm your host, Christian Buckley, joined by my Chewie this week, and always, my Connors.
Forever and always. I actually just told Christian that I love him in private, and I'll just do it here.
Okay.
So, yeah, there we go. Forever and always, I'll be your Chewie.
Well, Mike, I love you too.
Oh, thanks. It's just a love podcast here.
Absolutely.
How are you, Christian?
Doing pretty good. Great week for Star Wars in terms of content and some news. Mike, I know you can't see me right now, but I am, in fact, wearing a Boba Fett t-shirt with pride today.
You should be. Really, you should be. I once said some pretty negative things about Boba Fett, but you'll never again hear me say any of those things.
Yeah, and we of course will get to that because big week for Star Wars. This week's Mandalorian, we're gonna dive into it, critically talk about it in the most unbiased way possible.
This is like the most biased show ever, Christian.
Oh, I know, I know.
Also, if people are wondering why I have for the viewers, not just the audio listeners, I have a little blanket here, it's because I'm cold. So
yeah, it's wintertime in the northern regions. But we're going to, of course, get to that. We're going to talk Mando Monday. There's a lot of High Republic news this week. There's a lot of Disney Plus Star Wars news. There's a lot of news. But we're going to kick the show off the way we normally do with the Jedi Archives, where every week Mike and I go to the sacred texts of Wikipedia, pull a piece of information, lore, legends, canon, what have you, educate each other's and the audience on a new piece of Star Wars lore. So, Mike,
true that. What'd
you pull this week?
So I picked a classic character from the Star Wars universe. I'm sure we're all familiar with him. You may know him as the Lego minifigure that has one of the weirdest heads, a Force-sensitive Syrian male, Ki-Adi-Mundi.
Ooh, the droid attack on the Wookiees.
Yes, I picked him. I picked Ki-Adi-Mundi. So yeah, he was a Jedi Master and a member of the Jedi High Council, as we all know. During the last years of the Galactic Republic, he became a general in the Grand Army of the Republic, and he died during Order 66, very sadly, on Mygeeto.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he's a great character. I think I have probably had multiple action figures of him. He's one of those secondary characters that was meme to death.
Yeah.
But yeah, gotta love him.
Yeah, Ki-Adi-Mundi, I remember. He was playable in Battlefront 2, I believe. The original.
Really? Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't fully remember the campaign of the OG Battlefront 2, but I'm almost positive that there is his death on Mygeeto is a mission. I think that's a mission in the game.
Wonderful. He's definitely like one of the top members of the High Council for me.
Oh, absolutely. For me, my personal favorite, I think, on the tertiary characters of the Jedi Council, it is absolutely Plo Koon, if he counts, because I know Rebels really... Sorry, not Rebels. I know Clone Wars really dives into him a little more, but man, I always love Plo Koon.
I'm pretty sure he's on the council, right?
I think so, yeah. I just mean, like, I feel like Plo Koon, at least in what we saw of Clone Wars, he got a little more attention than Ki-Adi-Mundi, so...
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, he found Ahsoka, Plo.
Yeah. Legend. Well, similar to you, I chose something tied to the Jedi Temple. Specifically, the Jedi Temple Guard.
With the yellow lightsabers, those ones.
Yes, the Jedi Temple Guard was a security force maintained by the Jedi Order and tasked with the protection of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. An ancient and honored tradition in Jedi history, the Jedi Guards were Jedi Knights pulled from the ranks to become anonymous sentinels as part of their lifelong commitment to the Order. Concealed within formal robes and a mask, the life of a Guardian was a higher calling that demanded absolute emotional detachment.
Wow.
Yeah, so like what you said, Mike, they have yellow-bladed lightsaber pikes, so double-bladed lightsabers, not specifically sabers, but...
Okay. They're pikes.
Yes, they debuted in the Clone Wars. They were, operating before the Battle of Yavin. 19 BBY is the date they were dissolved. Of course, I believe 19 BBY is when the Jedi were dissolved. But Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I guess they basically just pull Jedi from the ranks.
Mm-hmm.
I find that cool. Like, basically, doesn't matter. It says here, like, uh, apparently there's this quote at the top. It says, "It is a sacred duty to which any Jedi Knight or Master may be summoned." So it doesn't really sound like you have a choice to be one of these.
Imagine if Anakin was sent.
That would be a nightmare.
Imagine if Mace Windu was like, "Oh, you want to be devoted to the Order? Go be one of these. It's your calling."
Yeah. Sorry. Another thing about the Jedi Temple Guard,
Mm-hmm.
the Grand Inquisitor was a Jedi Temple Guard.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still not fully through Rebels, but that's cool. Like,
I don't think that's ever said in Rebels.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think it's one of those like it's just one of those like comic book things.
Sure. Well, neat. That does it for the Jedi Archives for the week. As always, it's very fun.
Oh,
but
totally.
Now we got to talk about some news. Now, Mike, I've laid out a roadmap for today to cover everything.
Yeah, there's a lot to go off.
Mm-hmm. So there's a method and a means behind the order of everything today. The first order is about this these new Disney Plus shows, right? This year we've talked a lot about Cassian, we've talked a lot about Kenobi, and thanks to some recent quotes, some reports of things, we know one, Cassian's already being shot right now, and Kenobi is about to start principal photography at the beginning of the new year. Recently, during an interview,
that's big.
Yeah, it's very different compared to what we knew ahead of time. Recently, on an appearance on Jimmy Kimmel Live, Diego Luna, the actor who portrays Cassian in the Star Wars universe, confirmed that production is now ongoing in London for Cassian. It has started, so maybe we see this next year. I don't know. I don't know how long post-production is going to be, but that's wild.
Yeah, well, I guess it just confirms our suspicions. Like, what are they going to do with like the COVID pandemic and everything? Like, how is that going to affect their production schedule?
Mm-hmm.
And it does seem like it did for a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're doing it.
Yeah, they are, and
they're really doing it.
Like, it's interesting because, again, something we've touched on in recent weeks, I don't know what the plan is for 2021 Star Wars. There are some other things this week that might give us some inklings towards that. Yeah. But, man, imagine if we get Cassian, Mando Season 3, and a bunch of other stuff. Like, that's a lot of content next year, you know?
Yeah, no, it would be a lot of content. Mm-hmm. So they're filming that. They're filming the Cassian stuff in London.
Currently, yes, that is where they are shooting Cassian. You'd assume. I don't know if they shoot Mandalorian in London, but I know. Star Wars typically uses whatever that notable studio is in London. You know, I think Harry Potter used it too, but
yes, Pinewood, I think.
Pinewood, yes, thank you. But paired alongside Cassian as the other Disney Plus Star Wars series we've touched on to great extent this year is Kenobi.
Oh, yes.
Now, Mike, you and I are both from Massachusetts. Well, yeah, kind of.
Well, kind of. Sure. Why not? Adopted home.
Sure. After the last week, there was some great, exciting news via Boston.com, where Boston.com reported that Kenobi...
Oh, and Mass Live.
And Mass Live.
Don't forget about Mass Live.
Reported.
We all love Mass Live.
The Star Wars Disney Plus series, Kenobi, would begin shooting January 4th in Boston, Massachusetts. To which you, myself, friend of the show Jack Martin, were all freaking out. We were like, hey, how do we become extras? What do we have to do?
Yeah.
Today,
I wanted to be a stormtrooper, man.
Yeah, I wanted to be on Tatooine. I wanted to be just in the cantina or something.
Yeah, totally.
And, like, honestly, I think I told you this before. I want to get a tattoo of Obi-Wan's lightsaber, right?
Yeah, you've told me that.
Not very long. I'm thinking, like, maybe, like, 3 to 4 inches, you know, upper forearm on the inside. And I kid you not, if I had the chance to be an extra I would ask for Ewan McGregor to sign as Kenobi, and then I would include that into the design of the tattoo.
That would be great. Yeah. You would have to.
Mm-hmm.
What?
No, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say that you'd have to meet him though.
Oh, I know, but the thing is, if he's shooting in Boston, Massachusetts, I'm on the same set as him. I can be like, sir, very big fan. Thank you for inspiring me.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah,
Mr. Kenobi.
But guess what I can't do?
You can't do that, Christian.
No, because they're going to be shooting in Boston, I believe, in the UK. I said Europe in the doc. I forget where it was. There was a clarification.
Yeah.
Boston.com was like, hey, we were reporting based on a Film and Television Industry Alliance report that said they are shooting January 4th in Boston, but for some reason there's a second Boston in the world.
Well, you'd have to think that this Boston, Massachusetts was probably named after another Boston, right?
I mean, maybe. Like, why not New Boston? We got New Hampshire. We got
true.
Newport. You know, like
New York.
Yeah.
That's funny actually. That people like totally just got like duped about how it's not going to actually be in Boston, Massachusetts, which is sad because that would have been a cool little fact.
Yeah, like
I was thinking like, are we just going to get like like the Departed Kenobi crossover or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it's funny though, because when you do think about it, it's like, okay, realistically, why? It's probably they'd want to use a studio in Boston because just of travel.
Yeah, right.
Because like obviously they're not going to go to like Boston Harbor and like shoot there,
Shoot at Boston Harbor, yeah.
Thankfully though, we did get a ton of great memes out of it. The Twitter was going crazy with like throwing Boston accents on Star Wars quotes and stuff like that. It was charming. Sadly, that's not a reality we can live in. But what's exciting about this is that prior to what Ewan McGregor said, about shooting Kenobi in March, they're starting in January.
Wow. So we could see maybe Cassian and Kenobi, both of them at the same time.
Like I think that's wishful thinking. Because to me, I think it would make more sense to spread out your shows a little bit,
I mean, that's true. I guess maybe not. Going back to the Boston thing real quick.
Yeah.
Bill Burr is in The Mandalorian, and he's got a Boston accent. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking maybe Boston is canon because of Bill Burr. Anyways.
We'll see. We'll see if we get any revelations next week.
I guess so. But yeah, you're probably right. It's not going to come out in the same year or anything like that. That was just wishful thinking on my part.
Like, I there's absolutely a reality where that could happen, since it is shooting in January. Like 2 months ahead of time. By March, there's a chance shooting is done. Probably maybe by the end of March. I
mean, that's how they turned around The Mandalorian. If you think about it,
right?
They finished shooting in March.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think the odds are more likely now that we will see something from Kenobi next year. Because you and I speculated like, hey, maybe we get a trailer around Christmas time. But I think now I would bet on getting a trailer next year.
I think you're probably right. This is really exciting. I think we're going to get film footage from both the Cassian and Kenobi show. We'll probably get the Cassian show, I think.
Yeah, I would assume, because like think about Mandalorian season 2. They were shooting the end of 2019 and we have it now, so we'll see.
True.
In that vein though, there's a recent report that came out this past week via The Verge about the effects of The Mandalorian season 1 and 2 on other Disney Plus Star Wars content, because I think we talked about it a little bit last year and we were sort of a byproduct of this. After season 1 of The Mandalorian, there's a huge spike in interest and streams of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
There was a second spike leading up to season 7 of Clone Wars.
That was us.
Yes, that was us. We were part of that group.
Yeah, just fully that was us.
Yes. So The Verge is reporting a third spike that was observed via reports of, I believe, Parrot Analytics. They look at like streaming services. They report on Netflix streams a lot. During the season 2 premiere of The Mandalorian, The Clone Wars achieved a level of demand from US audiences that is many factors greater than anything it has experienced before. And they also went on to note that since the premiere of Mando Season 1 last year, interest in streams of Clone Wars have grown 4 times what they were ahead of time.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
I wish that they actually gave out like raw numbers, you know.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
Also thrown in here was also that Rebels is also seeing a bump as well. After like the Ahsoka episode, the references of Thrawn, search, Google Trends for Thrawn and Star Wars Rebels have also been exponential after the Ahsoka episode. But I think that just goes to show how smart Disney and Filoni have been with this season of The Mandalorian with Disney Plus.
For sure, man. I saw a really funny meme on Twitter. I think I may have sent it to you. It was the Trojan horse one.
Yeah, explain it to the audience.
It was Dave Filoni bringing in a Trojan horse, right? And it was the scene of like, them bringing in the Trojan horse to the city, but the person pulling the Trojan horse and presenting it to the city was Dave Filoni. The Trojan horse outside said Mandalorian Season 2. The castle said like Star Wars fans, and inside the Trojan horse was a Rebels sequel, which was really funny. Anyways, yeah, just explaining jokes here, guys.
I mean, you're not wrong. The memes are right in this case. Also, fellow Star Wars podcast, Cantina Conversations. I know Will Beeman, the host, is like dead set on believing that season 3 of Mandalorian is going to be the Rebel sequel. Like, it's not going to be its own standalone show.
Oh, yeah.
So I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
The only quarrel I have with that is that I feel like it would just be too much of a marketing opportunity for them to make like 2 shows.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, and it's funny you say that, Mike, because as of recording this, Monday, December 7th,
a date that will live in infamy.
Wait, why?
It's the Pearl Harbor anniversary date.
Oh, you think I remember that?
I'm just saying what FDR said, and it's infamy. Never mind.
See, you're the smarter one. You're the seasoned one.
Right.
This week, this Thursday specifically, on December 10th, Disney's going to be having an investor meeting. Deadline is reporting that this Thursday, December 10th, Disney will announce its upcoming slate. The studio will solidify what Deadline has revealed recently. A few things about a Pinocchio movie, a Peter Pan movie. The studio will also be announcing new projects from Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Pixar that will encompass TV as well as theatrical. So, this Thursday, honestly, there could be nothing that comes out of this Thursday, because we've seen investor reports in the 60 whatever episodes we've been doing of this show. Sometimes they're nothing.
Yeah.
This, though, with all the rumblings of a Rebels sequel series, an Ahsoka series, a Boba Fett miniseries, there's a lot swirling that could show up, because what other Star Wars Lucasfilm projects would make sense to announce at an investor meeting? Like the next movie, maybe? What do you think of this?
I don't know. I think probably TV. I think TV is probably the most we're gonna see from this. I think that when they talk about what new things from Marvel, Lucasfilm, and Pixar, that will be TV and theater, I would assume that maybe a new Pixar movie, right? Or something like that. Perhaps I'm not really super familiar with the Marvel universe in any way, really. So I don't know where they are in terms of releasing movies. But do you think that they, of course they could release a Marvel movie, but would it make sense? Is there anything lined up already?
Well, I think about a year ago they announced their entire lineup for what they're calling Phase 4, so the next year and a half's worth of shows and movies.
Oh, okay.
So I'm wondering if they'll be announcing updates on things, new Disney Plus series. I don't know. But I think there's a bigger question when it comes to Lucasfilm, because we know Mando, we know confirmed shows. Kenobi, Mando Season 3, there is also the Netflix series that's being run by the woman who worked on Russian Doll for Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if that's been officially announced or not, but we know of a handful of things, right? We know Bad Batch. So the question, I think, is what would a Lucasfilm announcement this Thursday look like?
I mean, you also have to think, maybe this isn't Star Wars. Like, Lucasfilm also has Indiana Jones.
Fair point.
And I know that there's been like some rumblings about another Indiana Jones movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that that's like been heavily reported on.
Dude.
So it's possible. Like, I don't know. I'm just saying that there are other options than like Star Wars. But I think if what we're gonna see come out of that, I'd probably think like Disney Plus series. I don't know what they would be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know if it would be stuff that they've already released, if they're just going to give more information, like you said. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
It could be that we see nothing come from this. I don't know.
Well, one potential is apparently a new animated series that may be set during the High Republic.
Yeah.
How would you feel about that, Mike?
I would feel great about that, but here's the thing: they're already going back on their oh, this is just a books thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it makes me wonder if they would do that so soon.
Sure.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
well,
do you think they would?
I don't know, but what we do know is that Jordan Mason, who has reported on Star Wars extensively over the last few years and has gotten a fair amount of things right, has been saying a lot about the future of Star Wars and Disney Plus, Star Wars The High Republic, via an article he wrote that I will quote right now. Over the last couple days, I've heard from a handful of sources that 3 new animated series are currently in various stages of development, one of which would be set during the High Republic era. This January, Lucasfilm and Disney are kicking off a new publishing initiative that ushers in a brand new, unexplored period of time in Star Wars. Despite being initially announced as a publishing project, I'd heard even last year that it was being considered as a multimedia project that would span other mediums as well. It's already popped up in VR, and this actually isn't the first time I've heard the High Republic mentioned in terms of a TV show. I had heard whispers of a potential live-action series happening as well, but I'm not sure if that's still in the cards or some wires got crossed and it was always about an animated project. So
interesting. That's really interesting, because I was under the impression when they said it was initially announced as a publishing project, number one, that's the most vague thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, in retrospect.
Yeah, you can publish anything. I publish this podcast every week.
Like, exactly. Like, you could publish a TV show. So, yeah, I mean, I think everybody was under the impression that it could be like, just something that is mostly books and comics and that kind of thing, and maybe kind of comes into the multimedia thing just a little bit, right? Like, I didn't expect it so soon going to like a TV show.
Sure.
That's the thing. I thought that like eventually they would want to capitalize on the world that they built and like do that in a way maybe through like TV or film. I thought that maybe they would at least spend like a few years just doing what they said they would do at first. Right,
because I think I was under the same assumption. Last time we talked about High Republic, I think when they put out a chunk of the chapters for Light of the Jedi, I think you and I were speculating that maybe they ride out the publishing effort for a few years to build a fan base there, and like while that's going on film they adapt the Old Republic, and then after we get through that era, like 8 years from now, they can be like, hey, remember those High Republic books? Now they're being a movie. So like just to build on nostalgia that way. But I don't know, like the idea of launching the High Republic and simultaneously launching a TV series set during that era is something that I have some questions about. Like, would Dave Filoni be involved is my first question.
He's become like the Kevin Feige of Lucasfilm.
Yeah, like at least creatively, I'd wonder if he'd be involved. You know, because as far as I'm aware, I don't think he really had much to say on Resistance.
I don't think so.
Like, would he be involved with that? Is he also involved in the Bad Batch? Because that's a lot to handle if he's doing that and Mando. Like, would he be involved with the High Republic thing? Would the High Republic thing be retelling things that are going on in the books? Is it a concurrent thing with book releases and comic releases? Like, I have a lot of questions on that front.
I have a lot of questions on that front too. And I guess one other thing that I am thinking about as you said those things, Christian, is like they may be talking about making a TV show out of the High Republic, but we just don't know how, like, in what stage of development that's in. It could be really early, right?
Sure.
And like it's possible that this is something that is like 2 or 3 years down the line,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know though. Like it would be a huge kick to the face if like this Thursday, like Lucasfilm comes out and they're like, "Yep, High Republic TV show, get hyped."
Well,
like,
honestly, I was just going to ask you if you think that is something that might come around, because if you remember, I think at Comic-Con 2018, I want to say, that's when they announced Season 7 of Clone Wars. And we got that this year. So it was a 2-year gap, I believe. I can fact check. But it was a 2-year gap, I think, between the announcement of Season 7 and the release of it.
Yeah.
So I think leading into this January, when we're launching this new era of Star Wars with Light of the Jedi, it might be smart to say, hey, the next big sweeping animated series, yes, we're getting Bad Batch, but like the next big one that's new ground is the High Republic, and you can get in on that hype this January with the first book.
It would be smart marketing. It really would be. And I think that it's very possible that that's like what they're looking to do.
Mm-hmm. Like
announce it and just be like, yeah, this is coming down the line. Be aware. If you want to get in on it early, buy our book. Mm-hmm. So that's definitely one thing. I guess they really just duped us. If this is true, like publishing project, really just that is like the most PR speak, the biggest PR speak I've ever heard in my life.
Sure. Regardless, I'd be hyped.
Same.
We do have a little more about the High Republic this week, though. In addition to these speculations about a TV series, we know that via StarWars.com, the second novel in the High Republic, the second, as they phrased it, adult novel, is going to be from Cavan Scott, who wrote Dooku Jedi Lost, which I haven't read, but I hear is very, very good. I think Jack listened to it. And
yeah, he did listen to it, actually. He said it was great.
Yeah, so clearly a good writer. He is penning the second book in the High Republic era. It is called The Rising Storm. So
very interesting.
I have an excerpt describing some of the pitch about it, but
just one thing, I guess, like Dooku Jedi Lost was like audio only, wasn't it, at first?
I think so, because in Star Wars.com, his database, they said like, oh, he wrote the audio of Dooku Jedi Lost or something to that effect. So it was phrased weird, but yeah, I know that's a book, because when we were workshopping what the Star Wars book club was going to be, it was like, that's the first one of the new canon and timeline wise, you know?
Sure. Yeah. I guess it's just one thing that I was thinking about.
Sure.
Wonder if this next book's going to have the same thing.
Yeah, I'd be curious. We do know it is hitting July 6th, 2021, so about 5 months after Light of the Jedi. It is going to build on the heroic Jedi and the nefarious Nihil that are debuting in Charles Soule's Light of the Jedi. In talking about the experience, Scott said, writing a Star Wars novel is always an honor, and this has been no different. It's a responsibility I never take lightly, especially while opening up a new era in Star Wars storytelling such as The High Republic. StarWars.com also said that although it's not a direct sequel, Scott says his story will add to the events in Soule's novel, the first in a series of books and comics from Star Wars The High Republic. The Rising Storm sees the Nihil taking their reign of terror to the next level, building on their appearances in Light of the Jedi and beyond.
Interesting. That's so cool.
Yeah. Like,
I'm so hyped for these, Christian. You have no idea.
I'm getting more excited, Mike. I really am. Because, like, it's a really cool concept, you know? And they're like the way they're exploring the outer reaches or the unknown regions. It's similar to what I wanted Episode 9 to build towards. Like I wanted 9 to deal with the Jedi Sith stuff, put it to bed, and then be like, hey, what else is out there that we don't know about?
Yeah.
And that's what High Republic is exploring, even though it's like it could be exploring things that as of 2020 as Star Wars fans we know about, but like in context these characters are learning about it for the first time.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's very cool. I'm excited because it's like one of those things that you can just like get in on the ground level and just follow and just like try not to keep track of it and everything. So yeah, you like look at like, oh, the expanded universe and legends and everything, all the books and stuff. That's so daunting. There are like hundreds of them, but we're going to be able to really get in on the ground level with this Christian, and I'm very excited.
Yeah, that aspect of it as well, because similar to how it's been great following along Mandalorian, it was awesome to be there for the end of season 7. Like, yeah, this is like you said, it's a new experience, and I think if they position this well enough, and that's why I'm kind of believing we might see the announcement of this animated series, if they make it seem like it is a big deal, and this is something you are going to be living in as a Star Wars fan, I think it might incentivize more people to dive in on reading Star Wars, because I know for how many new fans have been brought on with the sequels, with The Mandalorian, who have caught up with everything since then, a lot of people are saying like, hey, where do I start for reading Star Wars? What is the Legends? What is all this stuff? And like you and I were in the same boat. We didn't start reading Star Wars until this year, really.
No, yeah, I really didn't read that much Star Wars before this year. And the Star Wars books do so much to like expand upon the universe, and we've read books about taking place between movies that we've seen. But this, like you said, this is going to be really cool because it's just going to be something that we've never seen before, and it's going to be completely novel. I love it.
I'll also say, because remember, Light of the Jedi was supposed to hit this year.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, it was supposed to hit in October, I think.
So I wonder how significant of a delay the Rising Storm got, but if it was always intended to be July 6th, could you imagine if it dropped in October and then the next novel is like 9 months away?
Yeah, that's the thing. I would assume that they have a pretty steady schedule lined up, like of people who are like currently working on books and like people who are slated to write future books and stuff. I would say that like we'll probably see 2 or 3 books from this era a year.
Yeah. I don't know if there's a date on Claudia Gray's book, but I really hope that's next year too.
It's very possible. I mean, like, I feel like the production of like a book is different than like TV. Well, obviously, but like in the sense that like it might take a little bit less time and production effort.
And even going further with what you said, it is a multimedia to an extent publishing effort, because comics could start whenever. They announced a bunch of comic series. They announced all those like kids books and like YA books and stuff like that. So I think there is going to be a steady flow, but in terms of, like I said, the way they're phrasing this as the adult novel, I think 2 to 3 is probably a safe bet, like you said.
Yeah, I'd say minimum 2.
Yeah.
So
before we wrap up High Republic, though, there is a description about Scott's character that he wrote for this book, if you'd like to hear it.
Totally.
Yorick is a force-sensitive monster hunter with a mysterious past. What is that past? Well, that would be telling. All I'd say is that you don't want to get in her way, as Stellan and the others soon realize for themselves. So, nice little excerpt. We got a force-sensitive monster hunter. That's a cool thing.
That is really cool. That are they like humanoid? Do we know?
So there is a cover. There's a cover. It's 3 Jedi. I can, if you just search The Rising Storm, StarWars.com, it should show up.
Yeah.
There are 3 Jedi. There's a woman in a headdress with like a magenta lightsaber. One of the bearded men with like the crossguard lightsabers in the center, and a very strong-willed looking group all together. It's a cool cover, and I think the shadowy figures in the front, I think they might be the Nihil, whatever they're pronounced like.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing this right now. That looks really cool.
Yeah. Honestly, I kind of like that cover more.
Yeah, it seems like it has a little bit more of a darker tone to it for sure.
Light of the Jedi is cool though.
Oh, I think the cover is cool, man. I'm really excited to get these books like hardcover and like start a collection of them and stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be joining you there. I did see too, I didn't pull this, but I did see Charles Soule say there's going to be a special edition for Light of the Jedi. So I don't know what that entails, but...
Oh, I'm totally getting that.
Yeah.
Take my money.
Mm-hmm. Well, speaking of things to spend money on, it is of course a Mando Monday, so no episode of Jedi Nights would be complete if we did not go over the new merch to buy in the world of Star Wars.
Of course.
There's a couple highlights. First up, there is a Nerf. You know, like Mando's gun, like his rifle?
Like his big pulse rifle? The one that like he can turn electric and stuff?
Yeah, the big long one.
Yeah. The one that, yeah. Okay.
Yes. You can now buy the Nerf Amben Phase Pulse Blaster.
Wow.
So that's cool.
That is cool.
I don't know what scale it is, but it seems neat. There is...
Do they shoot like big Nerf bullets or?
I don't know. Like it's got a skinny barrel, so I'd assume it's the standard Nerf, you know?
I see. Okay.
There's also via the Her Universe line owned by Ashley Eckstein, there's some cool new Mandalorian sigil gear. There's like a cool sweater or long sleeve. It's like it's black. It looks like the Mandalorian crest is like spray painted on it, and there's like splatter paint around it that makes it look like stars. I like that one. There's also from Her Universe a flannel hoodie with the Mando sigil on the back. It says "This is the way." It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Have you ever bought anything from her line? Because I've looked at it, and there's some really solid stuff on there that I might buy.
I haven't. I can't say that I have. I mean, I follow her on Instagram, so I've seen a lot of her merch and everything, and her, line of clothing, and they look really cool. I just never have bought anything.
Yeah, there's a Black Friday sale, and I almost bought. There was this awesome, like the Spirit jerseys. It's just like a sweater, like a crew neck, and then on the back it just says something.
Yeah.
There was a really cool one. It was like a coffee brown mixed with like a dark brown sort of tie-dye on it. It looked really cool, and it had like a sewn-on Din Djarin helmet on it, and then it just said "This is the way." It was like $30, but they were sold out. I was pissed.
That sucks.
But
yeah, that's cool that she was able to sort of like almost turn like her relationship with Lucasfilm into something like this.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
There's also, if you want a variety of different pieces of clothing with the same pattern on it, MeUndies. They got a bunch of child pattern clothing. There's like a hoodie. There's
not sponsored, by the way.
No, there's not. Sorry, we are not, unfortunately. There's some onesies. There's some nice bathrobes. Some lounge pants.
Very cool. And they're with the child and stuff.
Yeah, it's a blue background. It looks like, imagine if you went into a Target and you got some child themed wrapping paper.
Okay. It's just his face.
Yep, it's blue. It's like a cartoon version of his little body and his face splattered all over the place.
Love it.
And
so that's interesting.
This is not technically part of Mando Monday, but it came to light in the past few days. If you are a fan of Fortnite, you can purchase this season's Battle Pass. Season just started. If you buy the Battle Pass, I think it's like $7, something like that. You get, in Fortnite, Din Djarin. As the immediate purchase, you get him.
You could just be him in Fortnite.
Yep. You can be him. You can shoot Joker in the face with a Uzi if you want to.
Wait, Joker's in Fortnite too?
Yep, they just added Joker also.
Dude, I've been out of the Fortnite world for such a long time. Has it turned into chaos? It sounds like it.
Man, they just threw Kratos from God of War in there.
All right, what are they doing?
And there's a rumor that Master Chief is about to be in the game, like next week.
If Master Chief is in the game, man, I might have to pick it up again.
Yeah, so
this is why. This is why they do this.
Yes, exactly. It's pretty cool. The season is like themed against the outlaws of the universe and a bunch of different realms of like pulling from hunters. So that's why Din Djarin is the level 1. You buy him in the battle pass. There are Beskar quests that you can do in game of like, hey, do this many things, like daily quests in games.
Yeah.
That you can do to upgrade to get the Beskar armor for him, which is pretty cool.
Oh, so you start off Din Djarin crap armor.
Yeah, season 1, episode 1.
Interesting. And then you have to build your Beskar.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool, actually.
Yeah. You can also, as you progress through the battle pass, you can get like a back bling of Baby Yoda. So he's sitting in his little pod and he'll like follow you around and just like look around.
In the pod? In the pod,
yep.
That's crazy.
You can also get a glider because you jump out of the battle bus, you glide down. That is the Razor Crest. So there's a lot of Mando stuff in this battle pass. So Star Wars fans, I know they did like a event in the past where you could get a lightsaber in a limited time mode, but like
I did that.
Yeah, I missed that one. But after this past season, because Jack and I do a Marvel podcast, Excelsior, they did an entire Marvel season that ended with a big Marvel event. So while this isn't necessarily a Star Wars season, considering that Mando, Baby Yoda, the synergy of this current season of the show with this release, I could see a world where the end season event come like February might be Star Wars themed or something.
Interesting. That'd be cool. I feel like they would get me to play Fortnite if that were the case.
Yeah. So, do you think you're gonna get the battle pass for Mando?
Definitely not.
I might. I'm thinking about it.
I just don't think I. Are you really?
Yeah, man. Why not? It's like $7. If I ever pick up Fortnite again, I'm gonna want to just main Din Djarin.
Treat yourself, man.
Yeah.
Treat yourself. One comment I did want to make about Mando Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I think they become really underwhelming. Just gonna say that.
Yeah, I like. The first week was super strong, I think. You know? Like there were those sneakers, all those clothes. There was that packaged video that was like 45 minutes long.
Yeah.
The skateboards, there was a lot. And as time has gone on, it's been a lot fewer things every week, much less fanfare. Obviously, when there's a surprise appearance from a character, you expect on Mando Monday there's going to be something from them. I think on that front, it's been kind of underwhelming. Like last week, there was an Ahsoka like Tumblr and an Ahsoka poster, and that was it.
Yeah, we got no Cobb Vanth stuff.
Yeah, which is wild.
That is weird, right?
A little weird, yeah. So I'm with you. I have a feeling that the final Mando Monday is going to replicate the effect and reach of the original one, assuming there's a big reveal in the final episode that they can merchify, but
I'm sure there is.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
We will. But I think that does it for news for the week. Like I said, chunky news week.
Chunky.
So let's get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Truly, I've never thought there's been a more accurate way to use the term all killer, no filler.
It is so true. So accurate, man.
Mm-hmm.
And let me say, just from the name of the episode alone.
Oh my god.
I saw it. Can I say it? I'll say it.
Oh, yeah. Chapter 14.
The Tragedy.
Yes.
And there is no better name.
Yeah.
For what happens in this episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw that and I was like, this is not going to be good.
I know. As we kind of expected, this was the episode that was directed by Robert Rodriguez.
Right.
It's funny. I tried that watch together feature on Disney Plus for this episode with my girlfriend.
Oh, really? Did it work?
Yeah, it did. It's nice. There's no like chat you can do, which I'm kind of thankful for. But you can do like little emojis sometimes to do reactions. There's like 6 of them. As soon as the title came up, I texted her. I was like, Oh god, oh fuck, like no. Like, I was worried.
Legit. Wait, one question about the watch together thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't communicate with each other.
No, but like we were texting a couple reactions.
Right. Mm-hmm. Of course. But also, can she watch it if she doesn't have a Disney Plus account?
I don't know. I'm not 100% sure because she has one.
Just thoughts.
Yeah. Like I said, this episode was directed by Robert Rodriguez, who is notable for the Machete series as well as Spy Kids.
Yep. Love Spy Kids.
Mm-hmm.
I was like kind of hoping that Machete would show up in any Star Wars Robert Rodriguez content, and I guess we got something that's just a bit better.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? I was actually reading something earlier. I didn't get to finish it, but apparently Robert Rodriguez was a sub-in director for this season. Like, he wasn't originally supposed to be a director.
Really?
Yeah, so I thought
he did a wonderful job.
Yeah, he killed it. So if he comes back next season, I want him to bring his boy. I want Danny Trejo in season 3.
No, legit.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I do want that.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
I want him to be playing like a character kind of like Machete.
Yeah, dude. Like I think I was talking to Jack about this. Like I want him to actually show up with a space machete. And I want it to be like Dryden Voss's like laser bare knuckles, you know?
Yeah.
Do that. Just get like a vibro machete or something. Like
that'd be so cool, man. He'd be a great Star Wars character.
Yeah, he'd be so good. He'd be a great bounty hunter. Like, come on.
So many possibilities.
Yeah, so why don't we just run through the episode, because it is a brief 32 minutes.
Yeah, it's the shortest one.
Mm-hmm. It opens up with Din and Grogu going to Tython and landing on Tython. So I threw me off. I did not expect that was going to be this episode.
I thought it would take them way longer to get there.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to spend an episode like finding their way there.
Me too. But like, nah. We kick things off. He's like, "Hey, there's Tython. Let's land." Like,
just skip to it, straight to it.
Yeah,
I love it. Why?
I did love the beginning of the episode too. It was very, very charming. They're in the cockpit, and Grogu's just sitting there playing with the ball, and Din looks over, and he's like, "Grogu," and he reacts, and he's like, "Heh," and he does it again, and he's like, "Heh." It's very charming.
There are a lot of like little Mando and Baby Yoda like interactions in the Razor Crest this season, which I really like. You know, the one with Grogu wiring was fun.
Yeah, so that was very cute. I liked too that he was sort of testing him again. Like he took the little ball from him and he had him take it back with the Force, and he was like, "Oh, hell yeah, dude." Yeah,
basically, dang Ferric.
Yeah, it's very. I like the relationship a lot. I like that it's being a little more casual now and not as like, it's my job, I'm your chauffeur. You know, they're buddies. I like that he calls him buddy too. He's been doing that the last few episodes.
Yeah, no, it's really funny. It's one of those things though that like he starts to call him that, and like you can see how they kind of get like this connection sort of going, especially in the beginning of this episode, which sort of foreshadows all the horrible things that are about to happen.
Exactly, because we land on Tython, we find the sitting meditation point. You know, it's like this very ancient looking area. An orb in the center. He places Grogu on it to sit and commune, reach out in the Force.
Looks Jedi to me.
It does. And nothing's really happening. All of a sudden, the Slave One shows up.
And dude, that was so wild. I was like, what?
Listen, I'm not even a huge Boba Fett guy, but like, I was screaming in this episode. Like, I was actually visibly, audibly making sounds and saying things. Because it was just... I think the way it was revealed was really solid. Just, like, realizing, putting everything together in my head as we were going was really fun. But, Slave One lands. Din's like, "Ah, crap, kid, we gotta go." He turns around, but oh no. Baby Yoda's communing with the Force.
He tapped in, dude.
Yeah, he did. I'm sure you saw the memes of him sitting on the stone, like meditating, and it's like, what song is he listening to?
Oh no, I didn't see that. That's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny. My pick was "Everybody Wants to Rule the World" by Tears for Fears.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Do you have a guess?
What was Baby Yoda listening to?
What was he vibing to?
Africa by Toto.
Solid pick.
Yeah.
So there's like a force field around him. He can't really do anything. So Din runs down, face off with Tamar Morrison. He's back. It's totally Boba Fett.
It's Boba Fett.
And from there on, everything spirals. Because like there's the showdown. It's like, hey, I want the armor. You want to keep the kids safe. What's her name? I'm blanking. Ming-Na Wen's character.
Fennec Shand.
Fennec Shand is back. It was Boba Fett in season 1.
It was Boba Fett in season 1, so Boba Fett did show up in season 1 after all.
Exactly. And like there's a mutual agreement that goes on. He's like, hey, you help me, I won't kill you. Then the Empire shows up, and it just all spirals there. But that's pretty much the story of the episode. We can get to the ending later, but like, what'd you think? Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so like we said, the Slave One shows up, and that is like the biggest hype moment of all time. Mm-hmm. And Mando and Boba Fett seem to team up.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. And we learn a lot about Boba, and more specifically Jango Fett, later on in the episode. But it's all stuff. It's all relevant stuff. I really liked seeing Boba Fett just like on screen again, and he, for lack of a better word, kicks ass.
Oh, absolutely.
He really does. He totally does.
Yeah, it was really cool. I'm glad Fennec Shand is back, because like I like Ming-Na Wen a lot, and she was done dirty in season 1, and I love that they're just like, oh, she's a cyborg now. That's why she's alive.
She's got like the Luke prosthetics almost.
Yeah, but for the abs, it's very neat.
Very cool.
Yeah, so like, just
like where to even begin, honestly.
I think we got to start with Tamar Morrison, because when we talked about Attack of the Clones in our review series last year, I think I asked you what you thought of Jango Fett, and then you said, I think he's just as boring as his son.
Yeah.
Like, I am with you where I never got the Boba Fett hype. Yeah, he looks cool, but he's done nothing. He's done nothing.
I mean, up until this point.
Yes, of course. Like, I held the belief that I thought Jango Fett was cooler, because he actually did something. He fought a Jedi. Like, he did something,
Yeah, I can see it in retrospect. Maybe that was a wrong opinion of mine. Jango Fett at the time was way cooler than Boba Fett.
Yeah, but I do think this episode makes me really like Boba Fett, because I get to see Tamar Morrison sort of, again, like, he's done so much in this saga where he's been Jango Fett, he's been the clones, and now he gets to truly be Boba Fett, not just dub over the original trilogy, Like,
oh, yeah.
There's only so much you can do there, but like this episode, I was like, oh, now people can be warranted in loving Boba Fett aside from him just looking cool. Because not only does he look cool to me, I think I love the mix of like the robes and the patched up armor that he gets on at the episode. It looks sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this was a big thing, like in Legends and everything. Boba Fett survived the Sarlacc pit, and he was like a pretty huge character.
Mm-hmm.
Like post Return of the Jedi in Legends. So for a while it was like, is Disney gonna like pick this up again, right? Like, and yeah, it seems like that they're going down the Boba Fett Sarlacc pit here.
Yeah, so that's exciting, and I think Tamara Morrison's presence, like, it reminded me of Logan in a way, of like,
there's all the scars on his face. Where do you think those come from?
Honestly, the Sarlacc pit.
Yeah, me too. But
yeah, I just really loved the way he carried himself for the character. I loved how, like, he wasn't being like I'm too cool to be here, like how Boba Fett always seemed, Like, I just really liked his presence, and I like the take on the character. I like that he wasn't just like the bad guy, because if you think about it, again, it's always a certain point of view. You know, in the original trilogy, I don't know if he was ever a bad guy. He was just like, oh, I'm a bounty hunter, so I am going where the money's going, the same way Din Djarin is, you know?
Yeah, totally. You can't say that he's bad or good. He's just out for his own self-interest, really.
Exactly. And that's why I was really into it, because it's like, oh, he has nothing to gain out of this outside of the armor. And the fact that he was agreeing to work with Din, the fact that in the end of the episode he's holding up his bargain in like a way that was not the intent of the deal, it really is painting Boba Fett in a way of like, oh, this guy has morals. At least he has his own code, you know. And they did so much to characterize Boba Fett in less than 30 minutes than has ever been done, and they won me over.
Oh, totally. I mean, just the fact that he made a promise and so far is keeping with it, right? We don't know. Maybe he turns on him. I don't know. But yeah, that's like huge for a character to do that, and huge for Boba Fett, because like you said, we've always thought him to be that like mercenary who didn't let that lawless mercenary. But yeah, he has his own morals. I was listening to a YouTuber, I think it was Eckhart's Ladder, who was talking a little bit about the Legends Boba Fett. And apparently, like, Boba Fett in that was like super weird. Apparently, he was like celibate, and like he was like morally opposed to like spice running, specifically because he didn't believe in drugs. Weird. So yeah, maybe we're gonna get like a super religious and super moralistic like Boba Fett, which would be strange, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I thought he did a great job. I really like just seeing him, and like awesome success story for him, man. Like he was Jango Fett. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna bring up. Like he's like been on social media like hyping up the fact that he was Jango Fett for a while. Like he's been like trying to get a job doing this again.
Yeah, I read through a New York Times interview that he did very recently, and highly recommend it because there's a lot of insight on his perspective on what it was like being cast in Attack of the Clones, how that really helped his career, how he's really like, ever since Disney bought Star Wars, he's like, this is going to be a day. It's going to be a day where I get a phone call. I'm just waiting for that day. And it's a really, really good interview. I suggest reading the entire thing. But one of the quotes I pulled from the interview was the interviewer asking about if he would want to return in the future after this Mando season 2. And he said, quote, "I'm just going to have to wait and see. I think a lot of it depends on how things go with this season, but I don't really know. I wanted to bring everything I had to that episode and give them a glimmer of what I can offer. There's room for this to go someplace. I hope I'm going to be included."
I love it, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's great.
He really deserves it. He's just like, he's like so great. Like he really embodies the character for me. Like the fact that like I have to say, like the continuity between all the Star Wars movies is like really impressive because like, you know, we have the same voices in all the clones, and like, you know, he voices them in you know, Empire Strikes Back, and like you know, he plays his dad, and like it's just I love how they're able to sort of just put everything together like this.
For sure, yeah. And we did talk recently on the show. There was rumors about a Boba Fett miniseries. Obviously, this interview, he doesn't make reference to that. I don't think he would, because he's being like, oh, I don't know, we'll see how it goes. But like, if those rumors about the miniseries are true, which I kind of believe them, I'm all on board for that after seeing specifically him play the character the way he does, and the opportunity that we have to explore this character now.
So cool. I love it.
For sure.
Boba Fett's finally cool again.
Yeah. What a world.
What a world.
Oh, I'll say this too. I've seen a absurd, again, man, Star Wars fans. I've seen an absurd number of people being like, why has he got a belly? More like Boba Fett. Like, man, shut the hell up. Like, Listen, I love.
Don't disrespect my man.
No, Tamora Morrison kicked so much ass in this episode. I'm not like. Also, Robert Rodriguez, you have to give him credit for his directing job, but like, also I could like this episode is like as Robert Rodriguez as it can get. I did not expect him to show any shade of it, just because like with big IPs like this, you usually have to tone down style. But like, man, that slow mo, like that really like aggressive faces that Tamora was making, like, oh yeah, that was a Robert Rodriguez up.
Yeah, no, there was like that one shot of like Tamora Morrison like dragging the gaffy stick on the ground.
Yeah,
that was like very Robert Rodriguez.
Absolutely.
Like, so cool, man. Like, so cool to see that.
Yeah, so like, shut the hell up. Like,
shut up.
Like, just I thought it was super cool that like it was a man in his like later in life being a badass, looking like he should look. It was cool.
Totally. Body positivity here.
Absolutely. And he could probably beat me up. He could beat both of us up.
Oh, he definitely can beat you up, man. He could sneak up behind you. No problem.
Yeah.
But I think... Oh, sorry.
I was just going to add on to, just in terms of his fighting prowess, he talked a lot about his culture, being from New Zealand, in that interview, and talking about how he adapted, like, some, like, dances and... choreographed moves from like his culture into his portrayal and his uses of the gaffy staff and stuff like that. Again, really interesting. Highly recommend the whole thing. But he brought a lot to this, and where he said, I wanted to give them a glimmer of what I could offer. I was like, man, I felt that, and you did it. You did a great job. You deserve it.
He did a really awesome job, and it's cool because we're definitely going to see him in future episodes. One thing is, I think he became like about 10 times cooler when he put on the Boba Fett armor. So he showed some fools up while he wasn't in his Boba Fett armor, but then he like destroyed them while he was in it. So that was cool. Did you notice that the Boba Fett armor, they used the knee thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was super cool. I think so. The thing that leads to the team up is there's a mutual agreement. He wants his armor back, right? And then the Empire shows up to capture Grogu. He's like, "Hey, I'll help you keep the kids safe. You give me the armor."
Sure.
They don't really necessarily shake on it, but Boba finds the Razor Crest. He gets the armor back, and then he comes up and he whoops ass. And the Empire, he takes out so many stormtroopers, dude. Like 2 dropships worth.
Yeah, he does.
And
well, let's give Fennec Shan some
oh yeah
props here too. She really she's a sharpshooter.
Mm-hmm. And things go south. The stormtroopers are trying to escape. We feel like we won. They fly off in the transports. And honestly, Mike, this was such a solidifying factor for me. When Boba Fett put his targeting thing down, he shot his missile and it blew up the top one and it hit the bottom one on its way down. And then Din was like, "Oh, nice job." And he's like, "I was aiming for the other one, actually." Like, they did it. The thing is, he messed up, It's Boba Fett not just being like, "I'm too cool." Like, there's a thing there that it's lame enough that it makes him actually cool.
Yeah, like he's like willing to accept the fact that he didn't do what he intended to do.
Yeah.
Which is cool. It's humanizing in a way.
Absolutely. Grogu gets captured. The Dark Troopers are sent down by Moff Gideon. And
skip right to it.
Yeah. So
one thing, they also blow up the Razor Crest.
Yeah, dude. I'm glad I didn't buy that Lego set.
Dude, I want the Lego set even more now.
Oh, because of rare? It's gonna be rare?
Maybe. I don't know. I really like the Razor Crest.
Me too.
But yeah, no, RIP the Razor Crest, man. That was sad.
Yeah, dude.
I felt that. My mouth was like gaping.
Yeah, I was so shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, this feels like a final season move. Like not like
definitely not.
So Dark Troopers, thoughts?
So like why did they land where they landed? And then it took them like 5 minutes to walk to the center to pick up Baby Yoda.
Suspense. They're slow. They're prototypes still.
No, yeah, they're cool. They're cool. They just look like I don't know what they look. They just look like Terminator droids, like cross between a Terminator and like a Cylon.
Yeah. Okay, you nailed it. There you go. So
yeah, sad that he was captured. Though.
Yeah, great scene though with on Moff Gideon's destroyer flagship, right? Like Grogu's in a prison chamber, and then Gideon opens the door, and then Grogu's using the Force to like throw these stormtroopers all around the room.
Yeah.
That was really cool because again, that's sort of like post Grogu sitting on that throne. It's like, oh, is he like actually tapping into the Force now? Because like he's been so walled off. That was Ahsoka's whole thing, right? Like, hey, he shut it off because he wanted to hide and survive.
Right.
But now, after like a recharge on that meditation station, he's good to go, you know?
Yeah, he definitely got his Force powers re-energized there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, he's really nice with the Force, Baby Yoda.
Yeah, he's had training.
Definitely had training. I feel like he definitely Force choked those stormtroopers.
One of them, I definitely noticed that. I think it was like the last one on the right. Like, it looked like he choked because like the movement he had and the fact that the stormtroopers like just standing there, I was like, I think you're doing a little dark side stuff.
Totally. I think it's definitely. I mean, Ahsoka did say that she sensed fear in Grogu, right? So
yeah.
Who knows? I did think it was funny though, but Boba Fett like flies up to like follow the Dark Troopers in Slave One, and then he's like, I think the Empire's back.
Yeah.
Like after like murdering 20 stormtroopers, he's like, oh, I think the Empire's back.
So, what stood out to me with that whole sequence that was very funny was when he's in Slave One and Fennec's like, don't blow him up, we need the kid. He's like, copy that, I'll do a loose follow. Like,
yeah,
it's like 50 feet behind him. Like, that line gave me the same vibes of like, it was made fun of in that Family Guy Star Wars thing, but it's when like, I think Han's like, I know a few maneuvers, and he just like slightly turns, like,
fly casual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another funny thing that like, I'm sure there's a lore explanation for it, but like putting Grogu in handcuffs, like what is that gonna do? Like, do they deactivate his Force?
So it actually looked like the actual handcuffs were like energy fields. Okay. Like you know how Count Dooku sort of like strung Obi-Wan up.
Oh, sure.
Episode 2. Yeah, people are speculating that's the same sort of technology. If you look closely, it looks like they have like a blue glow.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool grab. Did we miss anything after that? Boba is like, hey, I'll help you. The deal was you give me the armor and I'll make sure the kid's safe. He's not safe yet. We'll help you until he's safe.
That's basically it. I mean, there was some interesting stuff here in terms of solidifying Boba Fett and Jango Fett's backstory.
Yeah.
So confirmed, Jango Fett was a foundling, which I guess was in question because of the Clone Wars. I think it was Prime Minister Almec who said that Jango Fett wasn't a Mandalorian, the armor wasn't his, which I guess could be recontextualized into maybe he was looking down on him because he was a foundling. Right?
That was my read.
Yeah. So that's just interesting. That's kind of cool, I have to say. So it's cool that like Jango Fett was Mandalorian, which means, you know, Boba Fett is too.
Yeah. It was very cool. I think I've seen some discussion online. Like, I've seen a lot of hype for this episode. I've seen people say it's the best episode of the show. I don't think I would agree with that. Like, it was super hype. It might be the hypest episode, but like, in terms of like, it's like an action scene. It's a big action scene with like a little bit of lore, you know?
Yeah, no, I really liked it.
Yeah,
I think it's so far the best of the season.
Yeah, I still think I might like the first episode a little bit more.
Okay.
Just because I like the Cobb Vanth back and forth.
Fair enough.
But yeah, in terms of just like the visual aspect of it and just like earned fan service, it hit everything, you know?
Definitely earned. So some people, one thing I wanted to bring up.
Sure.
some people did some noticing, I guess, some high def noticing, and there's a scene where Mando is walking down from where Grogu is like having his force commune, and in the background you can see like where Grogu was sitting, and it looks as though there are two figures there.
Ooh.
So what did Grogu see while he was on that stone?
Yeah. I saw another theory about how there was the butterfly that apparently there's some canon evidence of like butterflies being used in stories about Ben Solo and Vader.
Well, they're actually in the Charles Soule Darth Vader comics, I think. When Darth Vader, like, does his meditation, sometimes he sees himself as like this like in the comic at least, like his body was manifested as like this violent, like chaotic sort of like dark place, but like floating around him was like these blue butterflies.
Yeah, so potentially he reaches out to Anakin or something, maybe through the Force as the Force ghost. Like, I think it's safe to assume that considering there's 2 episodes left, that Grogu is captured, that he did reach out through the Force.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to assume that the final episode, the cliffhanger of the season, is a Jedi. Like, actually.
There has to be. I think one theory that I saw was that second figure, it seems very obvious too. Like it definitely looks like something was there. Could be Luke, perhaps. We know that he can do that.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah, so I think... Oh, I completely forgot.
What?
We go see Cara Dune again this episode.
Oh yeah, right. That was like shoehorned right at the end.
Yeah, that felt that's why I forgot about it. It felt like a teaser for next week, honestly, more than anything. Like an after credits, like, oh yeah, see you next week. In the most hilarious thing ever, I think, we go to Navarro again, and then Din is like, "Oh, Marshal Cara Dune," and he's like, "I need you to look up a prisoner," and it's Bill Burr again for some reason, and then he's like, "I need to break him out," and she's like, "I can't.
No can do.
These stars means, or these stripes mean something." Like, oh my god, oh my god. So,
well, it's funny though, because she's like, because all Mando has to do is just be like, "But it's the child. Say no more."
Yeah. So, I don't think she's gonna be in the next episode, but I do think like her tip is gonna help Din and Boba and Fennec go get Mayfield, which interesting. Like I wonder, like we're probably doing a similar thing to season 1 where we're putting a crew together to go do the big thing. So
big shot gangster putting together a crew.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think it's gonna be the 3 we have now and then Mayfield and that's it?
I don't know. I don't think Ahsoka's coming back. That's for sure.
I'm starting to think that too.
I think she's definitely not coming back this season. I think it's going to be the 3 of them, Mayfield, maybe Grief Karga too.
Yeah. Here's a thought. I think obviously we know Giancarlo Esposito's talked about season 3.
Yeah.
So I don't think we get any resolution with Gideon this season. I do think we're going to do the Beskar Darksaber fight because very importantly, the Beskar spear survived the Razor Crest explosion as well as Baby Yoda's little ball.
Yes.
So obviously Beskar versus Darksaber I think is going to happen.
I think so.
I think the best thing that happens this season is we get Grogu back, and then I think season 3 we see Bo-Katan again, and it's like, hey, I think season 3 is retaking Mandalore and getting the Darksaber back for Bo.
Dude, I forgot about Bo-Katan.
Yeah,
that she was in this season.
Like, I think they would save that to do it. That's the whole story of season 3, more than she just shows up randomly in the last episode to get the Darksaber, you know, especially if Gideon's sticking around.
Yeah, I think that's more that they'll flesh that out more. It's not going to be such a quick resolution to that for sure. But I do think we're going to get Baby Yoda back. I think the next episode is going to be breaking Mayfield out. Maybe cross with like what's going on with Baby Yoda, right? Yeah. And then, and then the last episode will be them saving Baby Yoda.
Yeah, because we do know Gideon called the Doctor in again. So next episode is probably going to be bouncing back and forth between Grogu and the Doctor and Din breaking out Mayfield.
Yeah, we should get some more information about like what they want. Well, I mean, perhaps with like Baby Yoda, which should be cool.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. I guess once again, do you have one way or the other what Jedi is going to show up? Because I'm still thinking it's Luke.
I'm gonna say Ezra.
All right.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be Ezra Bridger.
All right, we'll see who's right then. Watch it be like Kyle Katarn.
Oh, that would be cool. Watch it be nobody. Watch there be no Jedi.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah. So we will see what happens in the coming 2 episodes. But I think that wraps up this week's Jedi Nights and the recap of the tragedy.
Yeah, it was quite the meaty episode.
Yeah. Do you think the tragedy earned its name?
It certainly did.
Yeah. It was a hype tragedy, though, I'll tell you that.
Hype. All aboard the hype train, baby.
Yeah. So until next week, Mike, where can the listeners find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Mike P. Connors.
Very nice. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch at Chris and Buckley. This show right here is available on YouTube, youtube.com/joyclicks if you want the video version that uploads and premieres on Mondays. It's also available on audio services like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and the likes. 2020 is wrapping up, so Spotify sent out their Spotify Wrapped. Podcasters got one too, so shout out to everybody who watches. Had a pretty good year, lots of growth. I know we only did like 3 months of last year, but good growth this year. Shout out to everybody who listens, appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll say this too, if you can rate or review on your platform of choice, it helps the show out a ton. And if you want to get involved further, patreon.com/joyclicks. You can support this show and all of our others for a few different tiers and get producer credit like Aaron Easton. So, thank you very much.
Yes.
And until next time, we're fine, everything's fine. How are you?
May the Force be with you.
Hello there. This is where the fun begins.
General Kenobi.